Welcome back to Keys and Gears. I'm Bess, a real estate professional here in Dallas, Texas for over a decade, and I'm here with Mark.
Hi, I'm a mortgage broker here in Dallas, Texas.
Yes. Mark, what are we going to talk about today?
Today we're going to talk about home buying trends. So what are home buyers looking for and why is that important, right? Why is that important?
Well, because, hey, you sellers out there.
Yeah. Hey, if you're thinking about buying another home, moving up, here's some tips for you of things that home buyers are looking for, and do you have that in your home? And some of these are expensive, some of these are not expensive. Some of these are, counterintuitive trends maybe to you as a current homeowner, but you're talking probably to a younger crowd that's buying your house, right?
Right, and more importantly, you're talking to a younger crowd that doesn't have as much extra cash after their purchase
to put into the house. So they're looking for a house where they can finance those changes because you get paid back at closing for that. So if you want to invest in your home and get the money back at closing, then this buyer is financing those upgrades. So
it's more critical now than ever that you as a seller really educate yourself into what is appealing to buyers now.
And what helps the buyers to buy your home. Right,
exactly.
To build a bridge.
What adds that polish and sparkle to your product, which is what a home becomes when you're ready to sell it. It's a process of packing up those memories, packing up your home, and polishing it and turning it into a middle shelf, high appeal product.
It's no longer a home, it's a house.
That's right.
Which means it's a product.
That is
and
correct.
I love those comparisons because it really does become a thing that you've put on the shelf of real estate for everybody to look at, right? And it can't be all about you because that's not what appeals to a home buyer, right?
Exactly.
They want to see decluttered. They want to see less personalization. Because they can't picture themselves in a house that screams you, right? That's more of the staging
everybody's
part.
Heard about.
But we're not talking really about the staging part of it. We're talking about what features does your home have that the current homeowner, that the 2025 home buyer wants to see, right?
Exactly.
So what are some of those features that they're looking for? Some of those, gadgets or whatever they are. What are they?
Right. Probably number one, which may be counterintuitive as we go into winter and fall, or in winter, is outdoor space. That's probably an inherited thing in this post-COVID year, years that we're living in post lockdown. Outdoor space is hyper critical, and the feel of it, the living of it. Well, because nowadays, it's been less than 5 years, or I guess in 2025 it will have been 5 years since we all got locked down in March of 2020. It's still close enough that people are like, oh my gosh, what if that happens again? Am I going to be okay with this being the park that I'm in, essentially? Like if this is, like, especially here in Texas.
If I'm stuck here,
Yeah, backyard spaces became where we had our speakeasies and our barbecues, and this is where we invited all our friends and neighbors over because
we didn't
Texans
have
are always saying
social
howdy.
Distancing was more easily done outdoors than indoors, right?
Exactly. So big covered patios.
Yes.
From the hot Texas sun is important.
And may I interrupt? Also, I see a trend having adult children now where they don't want to go out anymore. They don't want to go to restaurants. They don't want to go to the club. They don't want to, they want to entertain at home. They're not interested in spending all that money on useless experience. They have way more fun in the backyard playing card games or doing whatever than going.
Game nights are huge now with the under 30 crowd.
So for a younger crowd that's buying a home, that becomes very important, right? They want to do cornhole and backyard play games, right? Okay, anyway,
exactly.
Sidebar.
But outdoor kitchens.
Yes.
So you can have that
barbecue and
that restaurant experience, but not go anywhere.
And outdoor and as another sidebar, outdoor setups are not inexpensive. So that's more on the costly side of things to upgrade your home too.
Very true. Well said. But even so, there's different levels of outdoor spaces. right? As far as like appeal.
Well, of course.
But a beautiful, a pot of herbs. I mean, a garden of some sort. A lot of people are wanting to be very much farm to table.
Yep.
So they want to
Yep.
grow their own stuff. So you having something there that suggests, hey, this is possible, would be great. Some trees,
Outdoor fire pit.
a fire pit.
Yeah, that's
Holy
pretty easy.
cow, pretty
That's pretty easy.
inexpensive.
Yeah.
Adds a lot of
Yeah.
wow. What else? A dedicated dog area.
Yes.
Especially at lower price points. If you think your buyer might be a young family, most young families do want dogs, but sometimes they don't want to have to worry about their kids stepping in
Right.
dog debris
Or themselves. Yes.
So those are little things that are relatively inexpensive. I mean, golly, just staining and cleaning up the fence that you have.
Yes. Yes.
A fence, people think about a fence as utilitarian.
No.
If you really want to make money out of that fence, you want to think of it, have that mindset switch. That fence frames the lifestyle that could be in that backyard.
Right.
So if that fence is tired, old, and busted,
yeah. That
instead
becomes
of, let's
that
think about
becomes
Will Smith. Instead
your
of
whole yard.
new hotness,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's not so appealing.
How's the fence presented too, right? As a recovering real estate agent, I always told people at home sellers, if you have to have focal points in every room. And what's the focal point for the backyard? A lot of times it's the blank canvas of the fence that you see is your focal point. So you need to turn that focal point into something that's worth looking at, right? And so it becomes a canvas,
So a good, solid brown opaque stain,
Right.
Or depending on the age
and then
of the fence,
have
huge.
have decoration to go with that wall, so it's not just a blank wall,
I love you
right?
dearly, but I hesitate on saying that.
Okay.
Because I love you out there, public, but some of y'all's idea of decoration on fences,
Right. Right. I personally, I love garden gnomes, so I would build like garden gnomes I'm kidding.
Okay, going back to personalization. Yes, what you think is fantastic
Right.
might be fantastically repulsive to somebody
Yes.
else. So let's keep it to the basics,
Right.
and keep this evergreen happy for everybody, so they don't come back and troll us.
Right. That's going to happen regardless.
Oh, there you go. Is just keep it to a good beautiful stain.
Yeah.
Don't
And also like things like a pergola.
we'll figure out decor together. How about that?
If you have a deck or something, putting a pergola over it, or
Totally.
it's not
West
super
Texas
expensive.
Or the hot Texas sun is a
Right.
thing.
It's not super expensive, but it adds a lot of pizzazz, right?
One of my fast fun hacks for that time it covers, and this is if you have a townhome, which you may not have the space or luxury to be able to do like sunk cedar posts
Yeah,
or something
right,
like that.
right.
And talking about cost savings, is those as sailcloths. Mm-hmm. The triangle sailcloths, they're like $30-$40 on Amazon or whatever. Because you can tie those up.
Right.
I mean, they're very flexible and
Right.
awesome, and they're much more durable, and they actually have a really good vibe about them.
Yeah.
They're better than you think. Anyway, so outside. So there you go. Number one, have we
Outdoor
worn that out enough?
spaces,
We've beat
yes.
that horse down enough. Outdoor spaces. Next is kitchen.
Always.
Good
Always.
money spent. That almost sounds like a broken record.
Yeah.
But especially, again, post-COVID.
Yes.
Everybody had 18 months of watching all these chefy
Yes.
shows.
Yes.
And so now everybody
took a master
everybody's
class
Gordon
on
Ramsay.
on cooking.
Or believes that they will be someday if only they had the right kitchen. So
Right.
if you, and it's actually pretty inexpensive, fresh paint,
Yes.
including, here is Bess's, here you go. I'm going to treat you like I do my tribe, and that is give you some secret insight.
Yes.
Because now you are my tribe. You're here.
Love that.
And that is paint the ceiling.
Yes.
Start off
Oh
by
my
painting
gosh.
the ceiling.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Holy cow. Ceiling paint is like the most inexpensive paint there is.
Yeah.
And it actually has the
Makes a big difference.
huge difference. Huge
What do you-
difference. Most people think about walls. Why? Because that's what HGTV talks about
Yeah.
in a 20-minute show when they totally redo a house for $2. They talk about coloring the walls. The ceiling. White paint on the ceiling. Huge.
What,
Start there.
what's your take on changing out the hardware of the cabinets instead of replacing cabinets? Like sprucing up the existing cabinets. Can you really do that? What about refacing them? Is that really a thing, or is that in your experience not worth it?
Refacing cabinets, no, not really worth it.
Yeah.
Not really worth it. Hardware, that's an interesting question. I actually am.
If it's like a nondescript cabinetry, right? If it's a super traditional cabinetry, I think it's really hard to play with the hardware on it. But if it's more of a nondescript version, you can really give it some bling by putting some updated hardware on it. I would think, right?
Fair enough. But before I'd go that route, I'd say check your lighting.
Oh, lighting always. Every house. Lighting, people.
Lighting is huge.
Please.
Lighting is huge.
Very important.
Especially right now in this era of LED, because there's so different variety of lumens.
Yes.
And there's
the
cool
harshness.
and warm.
Yeah.
And you pick a color. Speaking of the walls and repainting your walls, okay, because that's always good to do. You pick a color in a paint store.
With the wrong
underneath
lighting?
Their lighting.
Yeah. Oh,
and
boy.
then you come home and you're like, I thought that
This
gray,
does not-
I thought that blue, I
This
thought that
looks
whatever was
nothing
different.
like-
It looks nothing like it, right?
Yes.
So it's all about the lighting, flooring, what's underfoot, which is a great, that actually is a good segue to a home improvement for the entire house, which is most buyers now do not want carpet anywhere in the house.
Really? And why is that?
No carpet anywhere in the house. The cleanliness,
Yeah, okay.
and that might be another outgrowth of
Of COVID. Right.
but cleanliness is very concerning, and high livability. I think, my theory, I think the iRobot, and no, they're not sponsoring us. I'm just,
right.
You know what I'm talking about. I think we are living the outgrowth of the iRobot movement. You push a button on your phone, and your whole house is vacuumed.
Yes.
They do a lot. They can do carpet, but they do a lot better on hardwood floors,
or tile or whatever.
on tile or whatever else. That also, and this is a fact. Like, so many people got pets during COVID. And pets shed hair.
Right.
Again,
Carpet is much harder to keep clean.
So
you have to replace it pretty often. Yeah.
So if you are living in a home that you can't remember the last time the carpet was replaced, it might be a smart move.
Yeah.
Asterisks on that. It might be a smart move to replace the carpet.
Okay,
There's so many exceptions to every rule. So
back to
real estate is unique and personal.
Back to the kitchen. So you're talking about in terms of inexpensive things to do. Ceiling, look at your ceiling, make sure it's nice.
Paint it.
Probably worthwhile spending money on lighting, appropriate lighting. Painting walls, maybe updating the backsplash, maybe something like that. Would that be, because it's relatively inexpensive.
Backsplash is like a weekend project.
Hell, you could even go to Home Depot, learn how to do it, and then go home and do it yourself, right? I mean, it's not that hard.
It's not that hard.
To do a backsplash.
Right.
And then you get into replacing cabinets. That gets much more expensive at that point. And not to mention that you're going to open up a can of worms because once you start a project like that, there's other things that happen that cost more money that you had no idea.
Amen.
And as a sidebar,
find lighting.
Bess has done this. Bess has renovated homes.
Yes.
Bess has a true expert, knowledge of this process. So she's speaking from, not just HGTV knowledge, but actual doing it knowledge.
Well, you used to invest in
in renovations, flipping houses. It's a very difficult business.
By the way, y'all.
Very
He's
difficult.
not doing that.
They're when you
it's not fun. It's tough.
When you figure out that your time's worth a certain amount of money. Flipping houses is a really hard time making enough money. It's you win some, you lose some, and so for all you people out there that want to flip houses, come talk to us first. We've been there, done that, and we can tell you the pitfalls of all that. Anyway, back to so what else besides the kitchen? Kitchen's obvious.
Right.
Same with the bathroom. Probably sprucing up a bathroom is probably going to give you a good return. Anything else that gives you a good return for the money that you spend that buyers are looking for?
Smart home features.
Okay.
Smart home features.
So you're talking about the whole house system that costs, $100,000. I hope not.
Fair enough. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't
Right.
have to be. Like some inexpensive smart home features. That Nest thermostat
Yeah.
ish or something like
something
that.
similar. Yeah.
Ecobee. Ecobee is one of my favorites.
Right.
Again, not to suggest, but
Why is that?
why do I like that one? Well, because you've got the main thermostat, and then you have bees. Well, bees outside of me. I'm
Yeah,
bee. But
bee, you're bee.
But you have these little cute little satellite monitors
Okay.
that you put in the rooms.
Okay.
Like, have
like
we
a
not all
sensor.
been in a house where there's like one room
Oh, yeah.
that's like
Oh,
colder
yeah.
than everything
Oh,
else
yeah.
or hotter
Or
than
hotter,
everything else or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Okay, so this, you put one of these little sensors in there and it feeds to the main thermostat,
Okay.
and it kind of gives you it gives a much better accurate reading of what's really going on in the house.
Interesting. Didn't realize that.
It's fantastic.
Ecobee. Interesting.
Yeah, or Ecobee.
Ecobee,
I have not
okay.
checked with them how to say their name. It costs about the same as Nest. I just think it's much more effective
yeah.
because of that very well, the satellites. And it's a way, again, to make your house smarter without
Right.
spending all that money on wiring and
Yes.
everything else.
Does get expensive.
It does get expensive. Another thing, of course, we're all familiar is some sort of camera doorbell
Outdoor
situation.
Yeah. Or even the cameras to keep you secure, like, to have up in the soffits of the roof to all around your house, lighting on the outside, that kind of that.
Another smart feature, if you are thinking about upgrading your breaker box, which a lot of people are. Why? Because we do use power right now at the highest level ever.
Yes, and that'll continue.
And that's going to continue. I mean, homes that were built 10 years ago technically don't have the capacity to really handle the load of what we draw. A good idea is to maybe at the same time consider changing some of your light switches to Lutron or something along those lines. Those are smart light switches. That's a next level. So that you've got the Lutron Basic. You also have where you can have those switches talk to an iPad or talk to your phone.
Right.
A couple of boyfriends ago, we lived in a house, maybe too much personal information, but it was fun because we had an iPad and we could just push entertainment.
Yeah.
And we had already told the house
what that looks like
as far as lighting and things like that goes. And that's next level. But you do have just all of us everyday folk. You can just do a light switch that's a little bit.
And those light switches are $35-$40.
Pretty
You could do a room every month and
work
update
your way
it.
through.
Yeah, work your way through the house.
I was in a home actually yesterday, priced under $400.
Yeah.
And someone had done just that.
Wow.
And it was interesting because my buyer felt that the home was priced a little high for the area.
Right.
But then as we walked through it, I just pointed out to him, I was like, oh, interesting. Someone's replaced all these with Lutron. He was like, wow.
Yeah.
Well, this is interesting.
Yeah.
That combined with going back to our kitchen, combined with the built-in wine fridge, got his attention.
Yeah.
Because he thought those were a couple of woo-woo nice things that he was not expecting at the under $400,000 level.
By the way, to rewind a minute to kitchens, sellers also need to understand that there's a percentage of homeowners, home buyers, that are looking for really modernized kitchens that never do a single cooking in their kitchen at all. They never use their kitchen. They're simply looking at it as eye candy, right? They're looking at it as,
a place to gather with friends.
When I have friends over, I want them to say, "Wow, look at this kitchen."
Going to the game night thing.
Not that I use it, but
Right.
so it becomes a feature that is more presentation than it is a utility, and so don't forget that. It's not everybody is a master chef or wants to be. They want to walk in a kitchen that feels like it's a master chef kitchen, even though they never
said.
use it.
Well said.
Which is a really bizarre concept to me. It's just not how I think.
Well, and actually, it's a good segue too, as far as like how it looks and how it operates.
Yes.
It's kitchens, and at what level do you improve them is becoming more and more hyper price point focused.
Correct.
For an extreme example, homes that are at $1.5 million higher, they are almost considered outdated if they do not have a dedicated, robust, some people call it a catering kitchen. It's some people still use butler pantry.
Yeah, but
no, it's not
appropriate.
Totally, yeah.
Either.
Different episode. We could talk about tells on how professional or how knowledgeable your real estate person is.
Yes.
Whether they understand the difference between a
butler's pantry,
and
or a Jack and Jill bath,
or a catering
bath.
kitchen or whatever else. But anyway, so the fun part too. Also, here's a little home hack when you're thinking about selling. Go start hitting up open houses in your area and see what's going on.
Yes.
See how homes in your neighborhood have been improved, and look at the traffic around you and listen to what other consumers are saying about the home, because it gives you an insight. Like the one I was just sharing with you that was priced under $400, it had a built-in wine fridge. Okay, that was the only house we'd seen in that neighborhood that had
with
that.
a wine fridge.
It got their attention.
It stood out.
So was that $150 wine fridge and then another $200 for a carpenter to come and build it in a little woo-woo cabinet?
Right.
Was that worth it?
Absolutely.
Because all in there maybe $500 and
save yourself the time. You don't need to go to open house. Just hire Bess.
But
she'll walk into your house and go, okay, this is what needs to change. This is how we can make it better. This is how we can stand out from part.
Like a judging.
No.
Not nice person.
Expert.
Okay.
So anyway, but that's our episode for today for Keys and Gears. And subscribe down below. Follow us. Click on the reminder notifications when we come up with a new podcast for you. So if you have any questions, please ask them down below. Reach out to us.